Hello, my name is Isidor Sanchez.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in Mexico in July 23rd, 1922.
So how old are you right now?
I'm 97 years old.
Do you feel like you're 97?
No, I feel like I'm 95.
What's it like to be 97?
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
What do you mean?
I live 3392 Grossmont, San Jose, California, 95132.
Talk to me. Well, physically, what is it like to be 97?
Oh, it was beautiful. Good Lord didn't need me when I was in combat, so that's why I'm here making this here interview. During World War II, I was in the Army, 30th Infantry Division, and my company was Company F, 117th Regiment.
What was your specific job in Company F?
What was my job? Well, I was infantryman and rifleman, and I was a sharpshooter. But I'm here. Good Lord, they need me. Okay, when I was in Europe, I was in combat. We came in. My division came in Omaha Beach, and ended up in Maastricht, Holland. But by that time, I was wounded before we got into St. Lo, France. I was wounded, and then I was sent to England to recuperate. After I recuperated enough, I was sent back to France again, and then stayed there as a different. I didn't go into the 30th Division anymore. I was assigned to troop trains, bringing in replacements from Le Havre to combat area. One morning we were moving up, actually the 30th of July, we were moving up in the hedgerows seeking the enemy, and as the enemy spotted us, I guess, and they started dropping mortar rounds on us, and luckily the rounds that were dropping, they were dropping away from us instead of towards us, and but one round fell about 15 feet from me, and everybody hit the ground flat as we could, but I still got hit. I got hit on the right shoulder. It was shrapnel, and in fact, I still have shrapnel in my shoulder yet. And after I was I was sent to England to recuperate. After when I recuperated enough, I was sent back to France again, and then while in France, I was assigned to troop trains, bringing up troops in from Le Havre, France, to the combat area on troop trains. I didn't go back to the 30th Division again because I was wounded already. And this other job that they gave me was not as strenuous or hard, so I could handle it because of my right shoulder. My right shoulder was hurting quite a bit, but I could tolerate the pain. But anyway...
That's the shoulder that you used to fire.
Yes, that's the shoulder, right shoulder. I got hit in the right shoulder, but I shoot left-handed anyway. My left eye is my sharpshooter eye. And but anyway, yeah, okay, when I was wounded, it's pretty hard to tell what hurt more, the hot shrapnel, hot metal, or the wound. Pretty hard to tell what it was hurting more, but anyway, after it got numb enough, I guess, the first aid man came over and patched me up, and I was taken back to the field hospital where they cleaned that up and took some pieces out. And then I was sent back to England, to the hospital in England, where they did some more surgery and got some more pieces out. And then In fact, I still have pieces in there that they didn't take out. If they would have tried to take them out, maybe I would have ended up with a stiff shoulder, stiff arm. And so they left them in there, and I still have them in there yet. It's a souvenir. Anyway, souvenir from Germany, German souvenir.
And they gave it to you for free.
Yeah. Anyway, after the end of the war was ending already. So then I had enough points to come home, but I decided to stay a little longer. So I stayed a little longer in France, and then pretty soon my time came to come home, so they sent me home. At the same time as I was wounded, two of us got hit at the same time. The man right behind me, got hit on the leg, the right leg, on the back part of the leg, because we were laying on our stomach flat. And but he got a bad wound because he got hit with a bigger piece of shrapnel, I think. But the medic patched him up first, took care of him first, and then me, because mine wasn't not as serious as his. And he was one of the originals with me. When I got hit, there was three of us originals. All the rest were all replacements. And but anyway, I would assume that he survived and all that, because his wound was on his leg, and he was taken care of pretty quick by the medic and then by the field hospital. Yeah.
So you mentioned that July 30th you were hit, and there were only three originals from the company.
Yes.
So your outfit didn't get into combat until what, mid-June, right?
It's something like that. I don't remember. I don't recall when.
Can you explain why your outfit had so many casualties?
Well, the casualties was because the Germans were real. Active at that time around the hedgerow country, and hedgerow country is really something, because it's just like a acre of land with a hedge all the way around it, dirt mound around the property, and then they plant hedges on top of it, so it makes a fence and divides the properties. And the French people used to put a hot wire in there to keep the animals or sheep or cattle away from from jumping into the other properties. And so whenever we had to jump the hedgerow, we always had to watch out for the hot wire. But some of that wire not hot, because during the combat, I guess it shut the power off and all that. But the wire was still there.
And say, how big were these hedgerows, and describe why they were so difficult to go through?
Some of those hedges were maybe the height maybe about 4 feet, 5 feet high, and the width, maybe the base of it, maybe about 4 or 5 feet wide, and the height probably about 4 feet, 5 feet high, and then the hedge row on top, the hedge. So it was really something. It's tough to go through. You have to poke a hole through it so you can see through the other side. Oh, for those who don't know what the hedgerow is, it's really something. It's a mound of dirt about 4 or 5 feet wide and height about 4 or 5 feet high. And then French people would plant hedge on top of the row to make it like a fence. And the Germans used to be on one side of the field, maybe a lot or 100 feet away. The properties, the head used to divide the properties, and then the Germans used to use one side, the hedge, when we were trying to seek the enemy. We were on the other side, the opposite side of the hedge, and to get to where they were, you had to go the empty space, and then to where they would be, and they had to do the same to us to find where we were. they had to go through empty space, the field, to find us. Some of the Germans would stay behind to hold the line while the other ones moved back, moved away to the next hedgerow, and those are the ones you had to look out for because they were left behind to try to survive and then keep us back shooting at us. And so we had to shoot back to find out where they were. And sometimes a trick you learn is when they used to fire, I used to know where they were firing from. So I used to shoot back to where the fire came from. And sometimes I guess I used to get them because they quit firing from that area. And
what was the trick that you used to find out where the Germans
oh,
were?
that's a trick I learned to survive, to shoot back where the fire comes from. And that's how my sergeant got hit. And my sergeant and I were in the hedgerow country seeking the enemy. And at this particular time, I was looking to the left and my sergeant was looking to the right. And then, you know what, wait a while. I was looking to the right, my sergeant was looking to the left. And just then, he saw some fire come from the left. And then next to a tree over there, my sergeant says, look near the tree over there. So as I looked near the tree, there was a fire again from that area. And then when I saw the fire, I fired exactly back where the fire came from. And as I looked at my sergeant, it looked like he was hit. But because he didn't move, we were on our knees looking forward over the hedgerow. And then my sergeant was hit on the neck. But when the guy fired, I fired back. And it must have got him because the firing stopped from that area. And as I looked at my sergeant again, he was still on his knees, but he hadn't fallen. His head was tilted forward, probably with the weight of the helmet. And then there was a lot of fire coming from that side. So we were firing back too. And then what happened is when the firing stopped, I saw my sergeant, he hadn't moved. So I laid him down and straightened up his legs. And he had taken around from one side of the neck to the other. And he took it, he got the hit on the left-hand side. It came out on the right side, and as I was looking, where I was looking at forward and toward where the shot came from, and it bothered me a lot. Why did the blood come out on my side? And then I figured out, well, when he turned around to tell me to look near the tree, turned around, looked at me, and then that's where he got this round on the left side, came out on the right side, and he was hit bad. He died right away. I guess he cut his jugular vein or something, because the bullet went in on one side, out the other, and that was the end of his life. And then and I looked for him. I looked for my sergeant for 55 years. My sergeant's name was Daniel H. Tremper. He was from New Jersey. I thought at first when I was looking for him, I thought he had said something about Ohio or something like that. We was looking through internet and through phone calls and all that when I was trying to locate it, where he was. Then actually he was buried in Normandy, according to the parents. And I wrote to, I think it was Virginia. They had all his records there. They sent me his record, so I found out he was from New Jersey. And I got to meet, not to meet, but talk to the sister and his wife and all that. But
you met his wife?
I just talked to, I don't know if it was his wife or the immediate family, but his wife, I believe he was only married 3 weeks or something like that, and before he went into the service. And but anyway, I still communicate with the people over in New Jersey, family members. And
how old would you say he was when he was killed?
well, I don't know how old he was, but he was older than me. He had been in the service a little longer than me, so we became real good friends. And I used to watch out for him, and he used to watch out for me. But
tell me about his personality.
pardon?
What was his personality like?
How tall?
No, his personality.
Oh, personality. He was real. How should I say? When he used to talk with authority. He used to everybody used to mind him because he used to talk with a real heavy voice, like, and business-like. Yeah, he was a good sergeant. And I still miss him. I still think of him. I was born in Mexico, Sonora, Mexico. And my parents migrated to the United States when I was 6 months old. So, but I was raised here in California, in San Jose, California. And when I came 18 years, my parents became citizens before I was 18 years old. So I was a citizen, diverted citizen. But when I went into the service, they didn't ask me where I was born. They just said, move your finger, and the trigger finger said you passed a physical. After then when I went into service, Army 30th Division.
What prompted your parents to leave Mexico for the United States?
Well, my uncle had come over here before, and he was a citizen, and he had asked my dad to come over too, because the life was easier over here. Although it was still a lot of prejudice and all that because they didn't speak the language. And so anyway, my parents came to the United States, and I was raised here in California, in San Jose. And then, in fact, when we were young, we used to play Army around the neighborhood. All the kids around the neighborhood used to play Army with wooden rifles. And then pretty soon, Honolulu got hit, Hawaii got hit by the Japanese bombers. And so then everybody wanted to join the service. But in the meantime, I got my draft papers, and I got drafted. And then as I took my training, basic training in Little Rock, Arkansas, and took infantry training there. And then after that, we went to Camp Bowie, Texas, trained with tank outfit and tanks. And then after that, went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, artillery base. Artillery base was to get used to the artillery going shooting over our heads. And we was the only infantry unit in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, because it's an artillery base. And it was real nice because we had it real easy there, just training, infantry training with artillery, going flying over our heads. And it was really something. And then it got sent to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, getting ready for shipment to overseas. And then we got shipped overseas to England. And then we're in England taking more training there. And then after out of England, then D-Day came along. Then our unit didn't go in at first, but then our unit got shipped to France. And my division came in, my battalion came in Omaha Beach. I don't know where the other units came in at, but Omaha Beach, and ended up in Maastricht, Holland. and it's really something. But I was already wounded twice before all the other action was going on.
Talk to me about growing up in San Jose.
Oh.
What kind of things did you do for fun as a kid?
Well, when in San Jose, we were all young, and we used to work in the field, picking prunes and apricots and all that when I was young. And then, as like I was saying, we used to play army around the neighborhood there. All the kids play army, and then with wooden rifles. And then well, I had made rifle with they shoot rubber bands. So when they shoot at each other, if you get hit with the rubber band, then that would mean you got hit. But anyway, that was just playing. And then after that, Uncle Sam called. That was for real. And
can you talk to me about your memories of the Great Depression?
well, what I can remember about when my parents came, I was pretty young there, but after I started growing up and I realized what was going on, it was pretty hard for my parents because they didn't speak English at all or understand. But they became friends with some Portuguese people that used to understand Spanish and a little bit Portuguese, and they got along pretty good. So they helped my parents quite a bit, and then grew up, and then there was some other kids in my neighborhood, our neighborhood, that we used to play army.
Can you tell me about the financial difficulties your family had?
My dad, I had an uncle living here already. He was a citizen, and he got my dad a job, and so that helped my dad quite a bit, and us a little bit. But it was hard for my dad because the language, and there was a lot of prejudiced people too because they spoke Spanish, and but they got along all right. And
did you face any discrimination growing up?
there was a little bit of discrimination, especially after when you started going to school. I went to Grant School in San Jose, and there was a little bit of discrimination there because the language barrier, and but we got along. It's just a little harder for us, but it was all right. And
can you talk to me? What were the first few jobs you had growing up?
Oh, my first job, well, after when I became 14, 15 years old, we used to pick. My uncle used to have a contract for picking prunes, so we used to pick prunes and apricots and pears, anything to keep working. So I used to do pretty good to work and all that. My uncle used to take us. There was two boys that we used to get along pretty good, and they used to pick prunes also. So and the apricots. We used to work in a drying shed, cutting apricots and drying, and so it was good. As time went on, we got a little better jobs and then a little bit better pay, so it was good. And after when I got out of the service, I started working in a bakery, Wilson Bakery in Santa Clara, and that was pretty good. I started as pot washer, washing the pots and all that, and then I worked myself up to a baker's helper to make cookies, pies, and different kinds of cakes. And it was good. And then after that, I forget. We got after the working at the bakery. Uncle Sam called, And
When you were a kid, can you talk to me about what San Jose was like at that time compared to what it's like now? What was it like?
well, San Jose at that time it was pretty. It was San Jose was real small. San Jose, the word was San Jose was. It's a big word, but where we used to live, there was all the grass growing all around, and just a little narrow street, dirt street, going to where we lived. We used to live in on 10th and Taylor. After way down at that time, the streets were not paved; they were all dirt road where the cars used to go, and people were pretty poor at that time too. So just like my parents, and but anyway, my parents survived in 1936. My dad and my uncle, and they hired a carpenter and they made a house. And in fact, the house is still there. And we moved into that house there, and we had a good life after that. Poor but good. No, I don't know. Then
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I had three. I had three sisters. They're all passed on already.
So you were the only one who saw combat from your...
Yes.
When you were a kid and you and your buddies would get together,
Yes.
what kind of pranks would you guys pull, or what kind of mischief did you get into?
Well, not too much. We used to play. Oh, there was one guy that we went into combat together, and he's passed on also. His name was Jesse Santana, and we used to play army together, and then we ended in the service together. And he was in 120th Regiment, and I was in 117th Regiment. But anyway, it was good, a good life. He got out. He didn't get wounded or nothing, but he got out, and he survived. Just died about a couple of years ago now. So
The Hispanic population, were you guys segregated almost from the? Most of the people who you hung around with, were they Hispanic as well?
Yes, most of the people that our neighborhood was all Spanish. They spoke Spanish. Most of the people are in the neighborhood, and then the Portuguese people that used to live there, a couple houses away from us, and they used to help my parents quite a bit. I went to high school at Peter Burnett, junior high school. It's over here on Heading and so what the heck is it? On Heading Street, Heading and trying to think.
So can you tell me about your high school years? What kind of things did you do for fun during high school, or what was high school like?
Oh, high school. It was this. It was good. A lot of good friends there that I met in high school. Was training for geography, math, and different things. I used to like geography quite a bit, and but anyway, it was good.
Before the war broke out, what were you planning on doing with your life?
What?
Before the war broke out,
Yes.
what were you planning on doing with your life?
Oh, at that time I was not thinking, before the war broke out, I was not thinking what I was going to do, because I was too young just to play around. And then, I heard about the Pearl Harbor being hit, and on the news, on the radio, and so all of us was thinking about joining the service, and by that time, two of us got our draft papers about a month or so later. So went to the draft board, and I already had thought I was going to go in the Marine Corps, but then that Marine Corps guy said, well, whoever calls first, the Army or if the Army calls first, well, you go in the Army. If the Marine Corps calls, you go in the Marine Corps. So the Army called first, so I ended up in the Army. And I think I lucked out because all the other guys that stayed behind, they went to the Pacific, and I went to Europe on my combat time.
Do you remember what you were actually doing, though, when you heard about Pearl Harbor being bombed?
And what I was doing, I was going probably still going to school and just working different gardening jobs.
Do you remember like what you were doing literally when you heard about it on the radio? Were you at home or were you at a friend's house? How did you hear the news that Pearl Harbor had been
I believe we were at home. There was only one radio in the neighborhood. My uncle used to have the radio, so everybody used to go to his house and listen to the news and music and all that. There was only one radio in the neighborhood, so my uncle's the one that had it.
Talk to me about what life was like before television, when radio was the main form of entertainment. What is that like?
Well, we didn't have, my parents didn't have a radio or anything, but my uncle, I think my uncle gave my dad one radio, a radio then to listen to music and stuff. So we had music from a radio. Used to be a lot of music that we used to listen to, and the news. It's all in English, so because we're not Spanish news. So anyway, that was good. We had a good life when we were young. And then.
So after you get into the service and you go through your training, how did you end up with the 30th Infantry Division?
How did I get into the...
Yeah, where did you join the 30th Division?
When I went to Little Rock, Arkansas, took our basic training, then before we were going to go to overseas, they assigned my unit. Oh, at first we took all the basic training and all that. It was 117th Regiment. I mean, no, 170th Infantry. The only infantry that was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Infantry unit in an artillery base. And they assigned my unit into the 30th Division. Okay, and from we was in Camp Atterbury. Oh, our unit got assigned to Camp Barry, Indiana, and Camp Atterbury, Indiana, and that the unit was getting everybody ready to go overseas. And then from there we got unit, used to take dry runs, get up in the morning, get ready to ship out, and then with just a dry run and come back and stay longer. One time they used to go out take a roll call in the morning. You had to get dressed and ready to go. And then they were doing it so often that some of the guys just used to put a big overcoat on and then put the rest of the clothes on just to pass that roll call. And the one time they got fooled. The guys, when we went out for roll call, the guy said, okay, everybody take your jackets off or your overcoats off. And these guys, they took their overcoats off. They still had their shorts on, underclothes. They pulled a trick on them. So I used to dress up and everything ready to go if they had to go. But these guys, they tried to pull a fast one.
Tell me about the physical regimen during your training. How did you get put into good physical shape?
Oh, there was a lot of basic training for infantry, basic training. It's and repeating over and over, same thing till you get to do your eyes closed. You can do the training that they had to do. And
Tell me though about your actual marches. You know, the physical.
oh yeah, we had a lot of marching and running and running and running. So make your so you can survive all this strenuous workout. Yeah, a lot of workout. There was a lot of workout, a lot of training, running and running, so you get your health, your breath, and all that. So it was real good. It's a basic training. I like the basic training, but after the basic training, pretty soon it gets boring because it's the same thing all the time. And then and tiresome too.
So tell me, how did you all get overseas eventually?
Well, then one day when they said they get ready to move out, well, everybody's ready, full field pack and all that, ready to go to the train station. Went to the train station, and they took us to the shipping area. And shipping area, we got onto the ship, and from there on, they got on the ship. I don't know. I don't think the ship took off the same day, but it got filled up, and then pretty soon the ship started moving. So I guess we was going overseas, or going someplace, but we were overseas. And it was tiresome and all that, but you get used to all that. Anyway.
Can you tell me about that journey overseas?
Well, the journey overseas was really something when you got in the open ocean. The ship got to go zigzag because for the U-boats they were scared for submarines, U-boat. And so they used to go back and forth, zigzag, as they're going towards England, and it was really something. It's tired. Then on the ship, as you're moving, somebody got seasick a little bit. I got seasick a little bit too. Started throwing up until you got used to it, and then it straightened out. Yeah. I don't recall where we arrived in England, but when we left there out of Boston to going overseas. And the water was pretty rough. Sometimes as the ship was moving, it would be a real rough water. And that's when people used to get seasick. Then sometimes you get those big swells in the ocean. The ship would be way in the bottom of the swell, and pretty soon you'd be way on the top, and you could feel the prop going round out of the water from the ship, and then it goes down again into the swell, the water. I don't know if you know what the swell is, but the swell is the big waves, big giant waves. The wave way in the bottom of the wave or way on the top of the wave. It's really something that seasick type weather and journey. Yeah. And I got seasick a little bit too, but after a while you start getting used to it.
How many men were crammed on your ship?
Oh, I don't know. It was a full ship. It was and on the ship there was bunk beds, and then there was I think there was 4 or 5 bunks on there. So I got the first. I thought it'd be wise to get the low one, and then the low one's real cold at the bottom of the ship, and so the next one too high is too hot because the heater, the vent's right there. So I found out just in the middle is just right. So I picked out a middle bunk, and that's when I stayed on the middle type bunks. And it's really something that you learn by on the bottom is cold and the top is hot. So anyway, went overseas, and I think I'm not recall what port we got in over in England, but it might have been Portsmouth or something like that. But I heard that word, but I don't recall. Yeah.
What did you do aboard the ship for recreation?
We just exercise, just to keep us moving all the time. And
And tell me, once you got in England, what happens?
well, in England we got that's a nice country. Everything was green. It's all different. After we got off of the ship, everything was green when we got assigned to a camp in England. Everything was green and foggy. Everything was green because foggy, damp all the time. And I liked England. It was real nice. And but you got to get used to the weather. Real foggy and cold in the mornings, and really, really different country, different weather. Yeah. And looked like everybody got used to it. Then we used to go long marches, march all the time, different places, and to get used to the exercise also, I guess. Just march, and exercise, and train.
Do you remember where you were stationed in England?
Well, the first one was we was in Quonset huts. Is Petworth. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. First place we was in Petworth, England, in Quonset huts we got assigned to, and just then when we're in Quonset huts, sometimes the German airplanes would go by there, and you could see all the searchlights trying to search on them, not shooting at them, but the searchlights would automatically be spotted on the German airplanes going over towards the center of England, or those there. I forget what they call them, as rockets that they used to send over to England.
The V1 or V2?
Yeah, no, the rockets, I forget what they call them.
Buzz bombs?
Buzz bombs, yeah. Used to send them over. You could see them going over, and then they were hitting around London and stuff like that. And,
did you ever see the destruction done by the bombs?
No, I never did, no. No, we just used to hear them, or see them sometimes going over, and sometimes you just hear the explosions.
So you were in England still when the invasion of Normandy took place.
Yeah.
How did you hear about the invasion?
On the radio. They used to have USO clubs. Used to go to the USO club and listen to the news and the entertainment they used to have there, coffee and donuts. Yeah.
And so after you heard that there had been an invasion of France, then what happens to you and your outfit?
No, well, just everything, just stay put, do exercise, and at that time, one time we were in a theater, and they call it cinema. It's a theater watching a movie, and all of a sudden the lights went on. It says all military persons return to your unit immediately. So the lights went on, and everybody left, emptied out the theater, except the civilian people that were in there. And, anyway, so I went to my unit and then stayed there, but we didn't go overseas, to France just then, but that was I guess that was a practice run or something. But anyway.
So how do you eventually end up in France? Take me through your journey from England to France.
Oh, we went from England to France on a troop ship. I forget the name of the troop ship. But we went on a troop ship to France.
And about when did you arrive there?
I don't recall what date it was, but it was after the D-Day invasion.
And tell me, where did you land and what did you see?
Oh, we landed at Omaha Beach, and my unit ended at Omaha Beach, and then from there on, a lot of firing going on, but not too much.
What could you see on Omaha Beach? What remnants of the invasion could you still see?
Well, it looked like some of that beach where we landed, our ship that left us off there. It was lucky, it was only maybe about 2-3 feet of water, maybe less of water. So it would just walk in, and when they get off, the ship walked into the beach, the units, and there were trucks up there already ready to take us to the combat area. Yeah, there was a lot of destroyed jeeps and tanks half in water and all that. I don't know if the tanks got hit or what, but there was some. You could see they were in the beach there in the water.
On Omaha.
Omaha Beach, yes.
So once you got in the trucks to take you to the combat zone, what's
Yeah.
going on in your head? You're about to get into combat.
Yeah, well,
what were you thinking about?
Just not thinking about anything. Just try to survive, see what's going, learn what you was trained for. Well, my first experience in hedgerow country, get used to that hedgerow country there, and just follow what the sergeant used to say. Just go forward and look for the enemy, and enemy looking for us. So be careful. And we didn't see too many Germans at the time, but after time, then you start getting in deeper into France. Well, then there'd be more people there. But this combat in Europe, it's different from this Afghanistan and all that, because in Europe, you know who the enemy was. In Afghanistan and Iraq and all those, you don't know who the enemy is, because there's civilian people. They're the enemy, some of them. No. Anyway.
Can you tell me, do you remember the first time you saw German casualties?
There were a lot of Germans that get hit because what they used to do, cannon come, they used to fire over our heads and then try to clear the space up in front of us, and then we move up forward to where it's supposed to be clear already. Then there'd be some of the Germans that got hit. They're left behind, dead ones, and but it was not no party, nothing, no fun, because some of our guys got hit too. So, but anyway, it's a long story and something that you don't forget. First German I saw one time, that poor guy, he probably got hit in the leg, and he figured he was gonna die anyway because nobody to take care of him. And looked like he bled to death over there. He was leaning against a tree, and poor guy, what he did, he took his wallet out and he was looking at pictures, family pictures, I guess. You were looking at him, and that's where he died. And it's real touchy because he suffered. He died looking at his pictures from his family. And it's really something, you don't forget things like that. And there were some other ones. I was a scout, and I used to go forward before the rest of the unit. Used to go, and then one time, I was going forward. When there's a big tree, I was looking at the big tree, so I went underneath the tree, and as I was going in there, I saw a puddle of blood on the ground. And I looked at it, I wasn't paying attention to it, just blood on the ground. So I wouldn't look around, see if it was clear for the rest of the people to come in. And then as I went back, I saw the puddle of blood, and I saw a drop fall in there, a drop. And then it scared the heck out of me. I looked up and there was a sniper up on the tree. I mean, up in the tree, but he was dead already. He must have got hit with shrapnel, but that scared the heck out of me because I didn't pay attention at first. If he was alive, he would have got me, but he was dead already. So I didn't know he was dead, but I put 2 rounds in him, but he was dead already. So anyway, it scared the heck out of me. It was a dead German sniper, and on top of the tree. And,
when you first saw him, is that when you immediately put...
Yeah. First off, when I was ready to fire, his rifle was hanging there. He was tied. I guess he tied himself so he wouldn't fall. But he was still up in the tree there. And he didn't fall. He's still there. But he was dead already. My first wife and my kid, they didn't know nothing what I went through until recently. The doctor said, let her out. I told my wife, pump it, no matter if I get mad, just keep asking, So I do that. Like now, I'll talk to you. I don't think my kids know what I just told you right now.
About the sniper?
Yeah, sniper in the tree there and that drop of the blood there.
No.
Oh, what brought that up? What brought my memory back is I went to VA not the VA, the emergency. I had to go VA because I fell, emergency right here at San Jose Regional. I broke my hand, I fell down. And there was a guy sitting there, a young kid. He was bleeding, he was dropping blood on the floor over there. I told the guy's bleeding to take him in right away. So they did, and that drop in the blood there brought the memory back from the guy in Europe.
You didn't remember it before that?
No, I slightly, but I never thought about it. Yeah.
Wow.
And then that brought the memory right there.
See, that's what I'm saying. Right now, that's probably the first time you've shared that story.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
And when we were in combat, the replacements. There were one little guy. They assigned him to me. Not assigned him to me. It says take care of him because he's a replacement, just a young kid, and he's from New York. You could tell by the accent he had, and was digging in making foxholes, and I made my foxhole, and then he says I want to be near you, so he dug his foxhole about 6 feet from mine. A foxhole, and he kept saying, "Is this deep enough? No, make it deeper. Got to be below the surface." So he made it deeper, a little deeper and deeper. Pretty soon he says, "Is this okay?" "Yeah, that's okay. That's good. Just deep enough. In case they start shelling us, you just get way down as low as possible." And then that night, we were all dug in. That night they start mortar rounds on us. The enemy stopped dropping mortar rounds on us, and they about an hour or so, I would say, dropped rounds on us. They had an idea where we were, and in the morning, daylight started coming up. They started taking roll call, see how many survived, and they call a name. He said here, and then here, and then he called my name here, but I was all full of dirt and gravel. My friend that dug his hole about 6 feet from me, he took a direct hit. There was nothing left of him, just a bigger hole. There was nothing left of him, just a big hole bigger than and I got full of rock and dirt and all that from that hole. And that round was so loud, I got my hearing aid fouled up. And now I use hearing aids now. In fact, I got a hearing aid. I got to go next week. I got to go to a VA for new hearing aids because these that I have now, they're kind of old now. So.
How old would you say he was when he was killed? That replacement.
Oh, I don't know. I would assume he's above his 20s anyway. He was a young guy, but a little guy, and he was a barber. I didn't even get to know his name, but I would just call him the barber. I used to call him the barber. But yeah, he took a direct hit, killed in action, lost in action too, and
Missing in action.
missing in action, yes. And there was no dog tag, no nothing left. I only knew that he was there. And it's hard, to you take everything for granted as you go, but it's not. It's all positive. Yeah. It's affected you. It's affected you a little bit, huh?
This is healthy. I'm telling you, it's worth it to talk to someone.
Yeah.
It's important that people know.
Yeah.
Did you have any experiences with discrimination in the Army?
No, not too much, no. When we was in Fort Sill, there was a little discrimination. But,
What happened there?
well, when you get on the bus, the black guys had to sit on the end of the bus, in the back of the bus. And some of those Mexican guys, dark ones, they had to sit in the back too. So me, I had no problem. I sat in the front or any place because they couldn't tell the difference, just color of the skin. Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
going back to your experiences overseas, did you have any experiences against the German artillery? No, excuse me, against the German Luftwaffe? Were you ever strafed by the German planes, or did
no,
they ever bomb?
One time we were marching on the road, and whole column marching on the road in France, and German airplane came. Was coming in, so he would start dropping personnel bombs on the road where we were marching. So everybody jumped on the side of the road into the ditch, So nobody got hit, but the guy dropped all his bombs on the road where he was trying to hit us, but he didn't hit nobody that I know of. So because everybody jumped in the ditch on the side of the road. The guy was using the road as a guide for his dropping his bombs. Yeah.
Did you have any other experiences with the planes?
That one time over there when we first got into England in Petworth in the Quonset huts, when they used to air raid alarm used to go England had radar alarm, searchlights started going on. Then everybody had to go into Quonset hut, stay in there. And as we were going in, I think I was coming from town or someplace. Anyway, as we were coming in, everybody's in the Quonset hut, and then I ran in and got in mine. But before I went in mine, there was a stick over that pit. I got the stick and I rubbed it on the wall of the Quonset hut and made dum on the Quonset hut. And the guys inside got scared. They thought they thought they were getting hit with the airplane. Yeah, but it was me that scared the heck out of them. But they never knew. They never knew that it was me that did that.
What do you think they would have done to you if they found out?
I don't know. They would have got pretty mad, I imagine. Yeah.
So
but it was just an experience, a fun experience.
So, going back to your time in France, did you experience any house-to-house fighting, or was all in the
one time we were going in a town, and the snipers used to be up in the building sometime, and this particular time we're going on the side of going down the road, hugging the buildings on the side, and then there was a building up on the top. I saw the building. there was a barrel sticking out of the window. And I figured it probably was a sniper up there looking. And I fired a grenade launcher from my rifle, and it went into the window where that rifle was. What it was a pipe that the French had a pipe holding the window open, and that fell on the window. The window came down, and the pipe was sticking out. It looked like a rifle was sticking out. But because then we were just moving forward, so the people in the back, when they came to that part, they went in and checked the building. There was nobody there, just a pipe. They found out it was a pipe that was sticking out. And really experience, you can't take a chance.
Talk to me about that. What is that like when you're going through a town or when you're in the country,
It's
not knowing if there's a bead on you?
It's scary. It's scary. You got to stay close to the building, stoop down, not straight. And when they at that particular time, we didn't get no fire from German or nothing. But in this car, it's hard to know if there's anybody there. So except that there. Well, where I was, I didn't take no fire, so I don't know about the rest of the guys coming in the back. Sometimes German used to let the first guy go in first and wait for the rest of the column to come in. So, but I don't know if anybody got hit or anything.
Did you have any other experiences, house-to-house fighting or in town?
No, not that particular one. And then where when I got hit, it was going into St. Lo, France. And we were out before we were going to go into the town, take the town, but I didn't make it there. So anyway,
what was the strategic importance of St. Lo?
oh, that's one of the big towns that.
Did you just say St. Lo?
St. Louis was just a big town that was in our route where our battalion was going to go. When it rains, all you got your helmet get wet, and if you're lucky enough to have a raincoat, well, you put the raincoat on. But it's when it rains, and when the sun is sun, get under the tree, whatever. It's not no like the other people that have places to get under, like headquarters and all that. They have their tents and all that.
Can you talk? I mean, you were a frontline infantryman.
Yeah.
What did you think about the people back in headquarters? Who were all cozy compared to you.
Exactly.
What do you think of them?
Well, that's their job. Yeah, that's their job. And then actually, when I was in basic training, I went to a cooks and bakers school, learn how to. Well, I used to cooks and bakers school, and so when I went into combat, I didn't want nothing to do with the kitchen or nothing, infantryman. So that's what I was infantry. All the other guys that had to hang around with the kitchen and take care of do the cooking and all that. Most of the guys that used to get the cooking were all the headquarters and all that. Myself, we had just D-bars or rations. Yeah.
What's a D-bar?
D-bar is a chocolate bar about 6 inches long and about inch square maybe. And I think they still have them now. I'm not sure, but okay. One time the Germans had a tank with a small mortar. It looked like a mortar. It's a little short cannon, and they used to fire a big round. You could hear. They were close enough where you could hear the explosion going, firing the round, and then the explosion. They fired it, and then where it falls, there's another explosion. So you can hear that, and you really hope it don't fall in your position. So that was really something that they're the way they used to fire those. It was on a tank like a cannon, and a big cannon on it, It's a mortar, like a mortar. It's not a cannon. The cannon is artillery, it's a longer barrel. These were little short barrels. And I saw one on a tank one time, and that's what they used to drop on us. Big impact when they used to hit, because it's so big of a round.
What happened to that German tank? I mean, what was that incident?
Oh, that was, I don't know, it was knocked out already. Knocked out tank, then they could see what was firing at us. But it was knocked out already.
Did you have any experiences against German tanks in action?
Just one time, but not too much. The tanks were coming, so we had to just stay put, dig in there, let them go by. And then, not go by, but they were coming. So they just moved, they were moving in for a position to fire. So when they came in, we just got out of that area, infantry, because there's nothing you could do with a big tank. So just get out of their way, let them come and do whatever. Artillery take care of that.
Did you have any experiences with German mines or German booby traps?
Booby traps. We had, as we were marching one time, they used to put the booby traps, bouncing Betty they used to call them. And then this time, had rained like mad that night, and when we were going up as a column, they all went by, and I was toward the end of the column, and as I went out the end of the column, I must have hit they had little activators in the grass, you know. I must have hit one because I heard it popped, you know, and I looked and it got darn bouncing Betty. Just the first, it bounced, it exploded, but it didn't throw the shell out. And we looked out, everybody hit the ground. They would have hit, I could feel my back getting hit with all the shrapnel, but it didn't go off. That rain must have damaged the powder or something there. It didn't pop and it didn't go out, but scared the heck out of me. That was a close one because all the other guys went by, and then when I went by, I hit the thing. And it was really something. It's scary.
You must have had someone looking out for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you tell me about some other close calls you had like that?
Oh, sniper calls. There's about 3 times the sniper was...
Just say that one more time, but say German snipers.
This another... it happened to me. It's 3 times. Different areas, different times. But sniper bullets come real pretty close to me. I could hear them just like a bumblebee coming real close. But it didn't hit me. I looked out. One time, as we went over the hedgerow to the other space, empty space, the German was on the other side, and he fired an automatic weapon, and half of us already on the other side of the hedgerow, so everybody ran back to on the other side where it was more safe. And I felt my pants moving. I thought it was a wind or something. As I went back to the other side, I looked at my pants, and I had a hole in my pants. Went through my pants, but didn't hit my leg at all. I would have looked out. That really something. That was real close. The bullet went right through my pants leg, right next to my shoe, right above the shoe. And that was a close one there. And then I was telling the guys, look at this, how close, after we got the firing stopped, you know. And I saw the hole in my pants. I kept those pants for a while, and then they gave me another pair after.
What was the closest you got to the German infantry during a firefight?
Oh, one time, I think the Germans were looking for us, and we were looking for them. And the German spotted me and fired one round. He fired a round. He had a bolt action type, and he fired it, but he missed. Then I had a chance. I had Browning automatic, and I fired back. And I got him, but that was a close one. That was only about 10, 15 feet, maybe a little more, about 15, 20 feet, I guess, from where I was. He spotted me, and I spotted him at the same time, but he fired first. And then he missed, so that was my time. I fired back, and I got him. But it was a close one, real close for me.
But what were you doing at that time?
We were both looking for each other. Yeah, he's coming from his side and I was coming from mine. And he spotted me. And
You were scouting?
yes, scouting, yes. Scouting. Okay, that's generally they used to pick one guy or two stay awake and the other one could take a nap. But the one that stays awake, he's got to be sharp and keep looking. And it was like that. It was good at night, you know, the nap time. And there used to be, there had to be the who's going to stay awake, got to make sure he stays awake, don't fall asleep. Sergeant used to go by and check it every so often, see if guys awake.
Did you ever have to stand guard?
Not too often, no. I think once or twice, but generally there's two of us pretty close together, so no, everything worked out good. Yeah.
When you were in combat, where would you sleep at night?
Wherever you was, foxhole generally.
Can you tell me about some of the experiences you had on patrols?
And what?
On patrols.
Oh, patrol, it's scary because you're going to the other guys behind, and then you're about 10, 15 feet ahead of the other people. And just scary. You have to just be sharp and look. Make sure you don't move the other people behind me don't get caught in a firefight. But I was pretty lucky. I didn't come across no firefights like that. Some did, you know, they scout, they call that scout. They don't, they're not watched. Sometimes they let you walk close by and then wait for the bigger unit. The Germans, but sometimes they would let the first people in and pass, and then they wait for the more people in the back, you know. But I was pretty lucky. I didn't have no problems like that. I was wounded twice, one on my shoulder and one on my back on my side. But the first one was moving in the hedgerow country, and the enemy spotted us. They start dropping mortar rounds on us, and luckily the mortar rounds started falling away from us. But one of them fell about 15 feet from me, and they got me on the shoulder. A piece of shrapnel got me on the shoulder, and in fact it's still there. And they took some of it out, but some is still there. And the second time, after I went back to France again. After the hospital, I got out of the hospital. I got assigned to France again, and but I didn't go to my unit. I was in a troop train, and the troop train was going toward Mortain, where the fighting was. Somebody shot, or Germans shot at the train as it was moving, and the bullet went through the train door and hit the other side, and some of the shrapnel from the bullet hit me on the back. And the first aid man that was with the troop that was going to to the combat area, he's the one that patched me up. But it was not too serious, but it bled pretty good, and he patched me up, and then he was going into combat, and I was already in the troop train, had been in combat, so he's supposed to have turned a report in, but I don't know if he did or not. But anyway, the important one was my shoulder, because that one had to go to hospital.
How big was the shrapnel that hit your shoulder?
Oh, I don't know. It's maybe about half-inch or so, maybe a little bit bigger piece of shrapnel.
And can you describe what it was like when that shrapnel hit you, the pain?
Oh, when you get it like that, when I got hit, you don't know what hurt more, the hot shrapnel or the wound itself, but after a while they just start feeding the wound. The shrapnel cools off a little bit. But it's no fun. Then when the first aid guy came and patched me, the two of us got hit at the same time. The guy in the back, he got a bad wound, so the first aid man patched him up first and then patched mine up. And it was a Jeep, they put him on a Jeep and they took him on. I walked to the field hospital and they took care of me there. And it's after the field hospital, then they sent you to the bigger hospital and then back to England with a regular hospital. After I got back to France again on the troop train, I was a guard on a ration car on the troop train. And that's when they shot at the troop train as it was moving. And they got me.
What does a ration guard do?
Well, the ration cars got the food for all the people that's going on the train.
Did some of the GIs try to? Did some of the GIs try to get in the ration car?
No. Oh, one time the train was near Paris. The train was in the shipyard, shipyard. What do they call it? Where all the trains are.
Marshalling.
Yeah, they were there, and then there was a Frenchman. I guess he worked for the railroad, and he had a lantern. He was looking. I heard the door opening a little bit on my ration car, and I saw the ration car, the door opening. I got my rifle and I put it at the door. When they opened the door, the guy put the lamp in there, the lantern, to look inside the train, and he saw the barrel of the rifle in there, and he dropped his lantern and he ran like a son of a gun. He got scared, but I was not about to shoot him because he was a Frenchman, but anyway, he scared the heck out of him. I had a big laugh, and everybody else had a big laugh after. We made a river crossing, combat river crossing. I guess, I don't know who put the little barges right there on the side of the river. When we came over from the infantry, moved into that position, they say everybody got to cross this river here, Veer River. They, everybody, 12 in one squadron, or 12 in each little barge, and then to go across the river. It was maybe 20 feet long, wide, I guess, where we crossed. And what happened is real comical, because we had all replaced myself. I was way on the end of the boat, or the little barge. I was on the end, the other guys in the front, all replacements, and they were shelling us. German artillery was shelling us, and they're not hitting where we were, but they were shelling it. And these guys were getting nervous. They're trying to stand up. This is comical. I told them, sit down or I'll shoot you down. And so everybody sat down, and then they they pushed us across on the other side. There was some guys in the water that pushing this little boat across. And then, but everybody sat down, and the reason I had everybody sit down, because I didn't know how to swim. Didn't know how to swim, so everybody sat down, so we made it across all right. Really, really something, because when they started standing up, they started shaking the boat all over the place. Yeah. And it was really something that everybody sat down quick.
How deep was the river?
Oh, I don't know, because there was some guys in the water, the ones with the boats, they were in the water, they were pushing the water. They're pushing the boat across. So I don't think it was that deep, but for us with the infantry pack and rifle and all that, it wouldn't have never made it. But they got us across all right. We got off. Then There was no Germans on that side. When we got to the other side, there was a lot of clicking noise. I thought maybe it was something German or something, and I kept looking to see where the clicking was. And there was a house that was burning, and the tile from the roof was falling on the ground, making that noise. So it was just a house that was burning that made that noise. But there was no Germans on that side. They had been there on that side, but they had moved out, I guess.
How wide was the river?
How wide? I'd say about 10, 15 feet wide. There's enough water there you couldn't walk across it, because all our weight, there was a lot of weight on our back. And, but they got us across all right, no problem.
So as you were crossing the river, what kind of fire were you taking?
Artillery. The artillery fire was coming, but it was not hitting where we were. It was hitting further back. So
did you take on any small arms fire?
Not when we crossed the river, no.
How long did it take to cross?
About 10, 15 minutes, I guess. It was not that. The guys in the water, they were pushing us across.
It must have been wider than 15 feet.
Maybe wider, yeah.
Because 15 feet from here to here.
No, it was wider. Maybe about 20 feet, 25 feet, maybe.
It must have been more.
It didn't seem that wide because, when we got down in on the boat, they pushed the boat across. It's about 20, 25 feet, 30 feet, I guess. I don't know.
Could you throw something across the river, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
So why did it take so long to cross?
Artillery, enemy fire, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So, can you tell me, as a typical infantryman, what kind of gear did you carry?
Well, a light pack at that time. Mesket, raincoat, and ammunition belt, 2 of them probably. And one belt on a cartridge belt. I carried an M1 rifle. Before we went overseas, or before we went into England, we would practice when used rifles. When we went overseas, I got to get a brand new rifle full of cosmoline. I had to wash it out, clean it all up and all that. So I had a good rifle, straight shooting rifle. The older ones, they were not that good. Maybe the barrels were warped or something from getting fired too much. But mine was a new rifle. It was a good one.
Can you tell me about the clothing you would wear in combat?
Well, it's we had the clothes that we had, OD clothes, OD shirt, OD pants, the brown ones, just like I have in that picture over there that you saw. And
do you have a jacket at all?
What?
Do you wear any type of jacket in combat?
There's a jacket, light jacket, but I didn't have a jacket at that time. Just shirt. One time we ran across a building, and as we were inside checking the building, I saw a little red sweater, sleeveless sweater. I took my shirt off and I put that on. It was beautiful because I wasn't cold at night and nothing like that. Little sweater belonged to a French person probably. It was a red one. I put it in on the bottom of my shirt, It was real good.
Did you keep it?
Huh?
Do you keep it?
I kept it as long as possible. Then after you got to get rid of it because not GI clothes. On the 24th and 25th, there was a breakthrough getting out of Normandy, going in further into Normandy, and the airplanes from England were coming across. There were so many airplanes, and the ground was shaking so much when they were bombing, and just like an earthquake, bombing, and the airplanes just coming over and over. A lot of airplanes. I'd never seen so many airplanes all my life that coming over from England to bomb the breakthrough. And American planes were coming over and bombing German positions. And in particular, on this particular time, they had they put a smoke screen. They dropped smoke screen. Our division put smoke screen to direct the bombers from bombing, and just the goddamn wind changed, and the smoke started going over towards our position. So we got hit twice, but our own airplanes, they followed the smoke screen signal. They tried to call it airplane, but the officers tried to call the airplanes, but the airplanes were silent. They were not taking no messages. But that's General McNear got hit. He was in a barn. I didn't see it, but the other guys that were there was a barn with the general was up there looking to see what was going on, and that barn got hit, and that bomb killed the general. He just had come over from the stateside, and he got killed right away. And he buried in Normandy. But anyway.
Did the bombs go anywhere near your position?
No, they didn't go near my position, no. They were further in where the Germans were.
No, I'm saying the ones that accidentally came.
No, they were hitting our position, but not where I was. After the bombing, I saw a lot of destruction where the bombs came kind of close to our division, our position. The other position, American positions, they got hit. But I understand there was 100-something people killed, our people killed by the bombing.
What do you remember about the destruction that you saw?
Well, it's just a lot of destruction. That
like what?
Bomb holes and all over the place. And when the bomb falls, it makes a big hole. And
what was it like? I mean, to see planes above you dropping the bombs on your position.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let me say, they before the bombing, they had issued some red panels. So I had a panel, and the other guys had panels. I ran out to a clearing. I put my panel down, and then the other guys ran over, put panel, trying to put arrow pointing toward the where the enemy's supposed to be. And I think some of the guys that saw that, they directed their bombing further away from us.
Yeah, that probably saved lives.
Yeah, I think so, because I was just lucky. I just remembered that I had a red panel, piece of plastic, like a tablecloth, and I put mine down, and then the other guy came out and put his down, then the other one make an arrow, Yeah, so it was a scary time, hit by your own airplanes. Yeah.
Were there other experiences you had of friendly fire?
No, that's that was some I don't remember, but this one here is a particular one because that was a breakthrough out of Normandy.
After this incident with the Air Force, what explanations did you all come up with, after your own Air Force bombed you?
Well,
when you were talking amongst yourself, how did you...
Well, what I understood that they had dropped those smoke bombs, ours, to direct the bombing sites, but the wind blew the smoke over us instead of our position. So that's why our position got hit. I understand officers tried to call the airplanes, but everything was silent for the airplanes. That's what I understand anyway. That's what they said.
What was your attitude towards the Air Force after this incident?
Well, it's not their fault. And that was not their fault. It was the direction, they're following direction
You didn't
from
feel
the ground.
upset at them?
No.
What about the other guys?
I imagine they got hit, so I imagine they were kind of, how do you explain that, hit by your own airplanes?
Exactly.
Yeah. I was with my platoon sergeant, Daniel H. Tremper, and he was a real good friend of mine. He was just like a brother to me, so we used to get along pretty good. And he used to look out for me, and I used to look out for him. And He was about 3 feet away from me to my left, looking to the left, and I was on the right side, looking to the right, and all of a sudden he saw a flash come over from his side, and he said, "Look near the tree on the left side." So I looked near the tree. Just then, there's a fire again, and as I saw the fire, I fired back at the German position, and it stopped the firing from that position. So I figured I probably got the German that was firing toward us. The fire subsided, and as I looked at my sergeant again, I saw some blood coming from his neck, and his head was tilted down with the weight of the helmet, I guess. We were on our knees looking forward, about 3 feet away from me, and we was on our knee. Both of us were on our knees looking over the hedgerow, and when the guy fired, the German fired, I fired back, about 12 inches below the top of the hedgerow, and as the guy fired, I fired exactly back where the fire came from, and it stopped the firing from that position. And then as I looked at my sergeant, he hadn't moved, and I figured he was hit dead. And then the bullet came in on the left side, it came out on the right side, and it bothered me for a long time. Why is the blood coming on my side? Then I figured out when Daniel turned around to say, "Look near the tree over there," the guy fired and got Daniel on the neck. It went into one side and out the other side. And that's why the bullet was on my side, on the right side. If he had been looking straight forward, he would have been hit on the neck, on the front part of the neck. But as he turned around to look at me, the guy fired and got him on the side. And I figured the reason that the blood was coming out on my side is when he turned around to say, "Look near the tree," that's when the guy fired, and the blood was coming on my side. When he turned around to look at me, that's when he got hit. And after the fire subsided, I laid him down and straightened up his legs, and there's nothing you could do for him but lay him down. As we moved forward, we took the German position. I found a helmet. They had a hole in the back of the helmet and blood all over it in the inside. And later on, we found the soldiers that had a hole in his head, in his forehead, right above the nose.
German.
The German had taken a round in his forehead. And when he went down below the hedgerow, stuck down below the hedgerow, I shot below the hedgerow about 12 inches, and that's when I got him, the German. And I don't think he hadn't turned around or nothing. He was still looking forward. That's why he took the round in his forehead. That's how I figured I got the German that shot my sergeant. And the other people tried to take him, I guess. The reason Daniel got hit, I figure, is because we both were looking over the top of the hedgerow. And if he hadn't have turned around and say, "Look this toward the tree," he would have got hit right in the front of the forehead or neck. So, but as he turned around to look at me, he got hit on the neck on the left side. The bullet came out on the right side where I was. That's what it bothered me. Why did the blood come out on the right side? And I figured that when he turned his head around, that's when he got hit.
What was Daniel's last words?
He didn't say nothing, just looked to the next to the tree.
That was his last word?
Yeah, that's what his last word.
What made him say, "Look at the tree"? Did the German open up originally?
Yeah, that's where the fire came from, next to the tree. So then Daniel saw it, and then he said, "Look near the tree." So then that's when the German fired, and I fired back.
How many shots did the German?
One shot. There was one shot when you got Daniel, but the one before that, 2 shots.
What life advice do you want to give to future generations?
When you go into the service, take it seriously because your life depends on it. That's what I tell these new guys when they go to going to go into the service. Take it serious and learn all you can because your life depends on it. Yeah.
If you were to give me some advice for my life, what would you tell me?
I would tell you to take it seriously.
No, not about the service, just life.
Life?
Life advice. If you were to give me some life advice, not about the service.
Oh, just be good to everybody. Be good and no smoke, no drink, no drugs.
What kind of... Are you religious?
A little bit, yeah. Catholic. Like I was going to say, I tell these guys no drink, no smoke, no drugs. And take your training seriously.
What's the difference between being under a German artillery bombardment and being under a German mortar bombardment?
A mortar bombardment is more direct. Artillery fire comes from further back, I think.
Talk to me about how you can hear one and you can't hear the other.
Well, one artillery shell, the one that makes a lot of noise coming in, and mortar round, if they're close enough, you can hear the impact, the explosion, and when it hits, another explosion.
Yeah. Besides the time you were wounded, what was the closest that you got what was the closest some of the mortar shells landed to your position?
Well, my position where I was about 15 feet. Yeah.
But I'm saying, besides the time you were wounded, were there any other times they came?
Yeah, there were some that they were pretty close. Artillery shells sometimes were coming. They hit the tree and knock the limbs off the tree and fall down sometimes next to your position, behind the hedgerows. So it's, the Germans sometimes they dig a hole through the hedge so they can look through and fire from there. Yeah. And it's all kinds of tricks you learn. They learn too. And you learn from them too. I was in a scouting patrol, and German, I guess he was in a scouting patrol too, and he spotted me about 20 feet away from me, and he fired around. He had a bolt action rifle. As he fired, he scared the heck out of me, and he fired back. But when he fired, I saw him at the same time, and I fired 2 rounds at him. And I was pretty good with my M1. I just point and fire, and I could hit pretty close. So I didn't have to aim or nothing. I just fired, and I got him. But it was it was an open field, and there was nobody else around except the other guys were further back, watching what was going on.
Explain the beginning though. So you were on what were you doing?
Scouting, looking for the enemy, as they were looking for us.
I mean, were you looking in a different direction originally when he fired at you?
Actually, no. When he fired, I just glanced that way and I saw him at the same time as he fired. I saw the fire from the flash as he fired, but I think he was excited. He didn't aim or nothing, just fired.
I mean, was there any cover, or you were both in a field?
Both in the field, yeah. This is a photo of my Sergeant Daniel H. Tremper, who was killed right next to me in Normandy.
What kind of person was he?
He was a real good guy, real friendly, good, with authority. When he spoke with authority.